Hey, hi, hello. I am Song W. Erickson, and this is my channel where I talk about whatever's on my mind, which is why today we're going to talk about a life update, pretty much. I'm also an artist and fantasy romance writer, in case you're new here, but I haven't been doing a lot of those things lately, so it feels kind of silly to include it in my introduction, but at the same time, I just did. I've actually been sitting here for a little while trying to figure out how to start this video, and I even made notes about what I want to talk about, and hence why I have a purple pen that doesn't necessarily match the red shirt, but the purple Kuromi notebook is my YouTube notebook, and the pen matches the notebook, so that's what matters. It doesn't necessarily coordinate with the outfit today. But because I took notes, I actually want to start off talking about this channel because we hit a bit of a milestone, but let me back up to explain. Okay, so I've done YouTube on and off for years at this point, where like I would make videos for a few weeks, or I would try to make videos for a few weeks, and I would either like have ideas and talk myself out of doing those ideas, or I would just not be able to come up with anything, or I would do it for a little bit and then not really get a response and feel like I was wasting my time, so I would just stop doing it. And that's kind of been my experience with YouTube for the most part. But towards the end of last year, I saw something that said if you want to do social media seriously, you need to go in with a 90-day strategy. So I was like, okay, going into 2026, I'm going to give this another shot. I'll do weekly videos for 3 months, 90 days. I realized pretty quickly that was not going to be enough time for me to figure out how to do this channel, and it's certainly not enough for me to find my audience. Because if you've been here watching the videos I've put out in the last 3 months or so, um, I've had a lot of things I had to process, and talking about some things has kind of been draining poison from a wound, which it's like I had to do it. I feel like I had to put my thoughts out there. I had to get them out of myself and just cards on the table, stuff like that. So like I don't regret it, but I was also like, okay, this is not what's going to reach an audience necessarily. So I'm going to keep doing it, but I think I realized like 3 weeks into January, if that long, it's gonna be more than 90 days. It's gonna take more than that for me to figure out how to do videos and to like to settle and find my style, and then actually reach an audience. So I said, okay, gonna take more than 90 days. Let's do a year. And 52 weekly videos throughout 2026. And I was like, okay, I am being over ambitious as I usually am, but let's give it a go. And 52 plus bonus videos, because I started doing bonus videos pretty quickly into the year. Thank you, Eric Casting. Now, back in January, I was working a pretty consistent schedule at a restaurant locally, which is the same restaurant I worked at when I was 19. So, a bit of a full circle moment to be working there again when I'm 34 and figuring out my life. Because that's the other thing, and part of why I had to kind of do all those the videos just kind of talking about things is I'm at a point where I'm really trying to figure out my life and improve my life. And we'll get to that a bit more in a little bit. So I was like, okay, year of videos. At the time, I was just working the restaurant job. I knew I had the office job coming up because that had been arranged ahead of time, that I was going to be working in a tax office. Now, I worked that same tax office last year, and last year I was managing it, and quite frankly, I think the job almost killed me. I got so sick multiple times in 3 or 4 months, and by the end of it, I just could not handle just about anything. So that job ended in 25. I had to take a few weeks to recover, worked for my mom during the summer. Didn't go very well. It kept my bills paid, but at great emotional cost, quite frankly. But we're not here to talk about that too much. So this year, I was working the restaurant and I was working the tax office, which kept me very busy 6 days a week. I still did weekly videos. I was exhausted, and there's a couple videos where I'm specifically just like, I need a break. I don't know what else to talk about other the fact that I need more sleep. And so that was the last few months. But I will say, this year the tax office went much better. That, I can definitely say that, and I'm very glad about that. Like, I'm going out to lunch tomorrow with a couple of my coworkers from there. And obviously, with tax season in the US over, that ended on April 15th, season is done. But by the end of the season, it was going much better. I was still very tired, but I think I had kind of started to get in the groove of working so much. Then April 15th, it ended. I went to the owners of the restaurant where I still work, and I'm like, hey, I can work more hours again. I can work whenever you need me. And it was just, oh no, we're going to keep you at 3 hours a night, 6 nights a week. So I'm still working 6 days a week, but now I'm only working 18 hours, which isn't enough to pay my bills. And so I'm looking for a job. And yeah. So I was trying to talk about the channel, and that led into work stuff, and that now it's all intermixed, and I don't quite know. I'm slightly overwhelmed at the moment, and I don't want to use this video to whine too much. But you know, I came into this year like, okay, I finally want to take responsibility for my own life, and I want to set goals for myself, and I want to actively work to make my life better. And I knew there would be obstacles. I knew there would be situations where doing so would not be easy. And specifically, I was like, okay, I'm going into this one job that I know is seasonal. And I know I'm going to get to the end of it, and I might be at a point where I'm not making as much money, and I'm going to have to look for another job. I knew that was a possibility. I had kind of hoped that the restaurant would just take me back on for more hours, but they just can't afford it right now. Probably doesn't help. Their daughter just got engaged, so now they have to pay for a wedding, and that means they can't pay me. Typical. And I'm looking back at it. Like, okay, last year I ended the office job. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I didn't know where my money was going to come from. This year, I'm in a better position. Like, I at least still have the part-time job. I have some money saved. Doing the art journey videos really pushed my computer to the limit, and I discovered that I don't actually have a dedicated graphics card in that computer. It's just all going through the CPU. So I was talking to a friend who is really good with computers, and he was like, hey, if you want, we can build you a custom PC and set me a budget amount. And I was like, I can do that. Problem was, when I found out I'm only working part-time at the restaurant, it's like, okay, I have the money set aside for the computer, but I can't justify spending that right now because I need to keep it aside just as part of my savings to make sure my rent gets paid for the next few months. And even with that, my savings will maybe last me 3 months. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I can't do the hand motions I want. I can't stim the way I want with a pen in my hand. So I assume this is stimming. It has to be something like that. I don't know. So I'm stressed out. And like I said, I'm in a much better position than I was last year. At least I still have some money coming in. It's not enough, but with my savings, I can last 3 months if I have to. Yeah. But it's still, like, I have that deadline in my head, and I'm like, I have to find something before then. Problem is the economy. I hate being one of those people who's like, oh, well, the economy's bad, but I'm also looking at it, and I'm like, I'm looking at job listings in my area, and I've never seen so few job openings in my area. So I'm just like, okay, there not a lot of options. So I'm just, like I said, when I set this goal of like, okay, I want to get my life together, I knew there would be obstacles. And this is the exact obstacle I predicted. So I'm still just trying to figure it out. And again, I don't want to use this video to whine too much, but like, I have to be honest, like, okay, I'm in this position where I don't quite know what happens next. And I have this deadline, and I'm kind of nervous about that. And it is affecting, you know, I said earlier that I'm not doing a lot of art or writing at the moment. And part of that is because I'm a little stressed out. And it's hard to be creative when I have this stuff looming over me. And it's like, I want to, but then I'm also coming back to, this is something I deal with repeatedly, where I'm like, is there a point? Like, is there a point to me doing videos? Am I wasting my time with writing and art since I've never succeeded the way I want to? And every now and then, especially when I'm stressed out, you know, those thoughts come back, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? What is the point? I'm like, I have to keep that at bay, and I have to remind myself that, like, I'm working towards a goal. And then, of course, my head is like, it's never worked before. Why do you think it'll work now? I don't know. I want it to. Like, that's really all there is to it, is like, I want it to work, and I want this so badly that, like, I'm just stubborn, I guess. And so I keep trying, and I keep doing YouTube, and I keep drawing, and I keep writing, and I keep planning and hoping for things to work out a certain way, and I keep applying for jobs, because what else am I gonna do? I have to make sure rent stays paid. So that's where I am right now. Oh yeah, I was gonna talk about the fact I did YouTube for 90 days. And like I said, I realized pretty quickly that 90 days was not going to be enough. Like I said, I had to vent some stuff that I knew wasn't going to be, like, appealing to people who don't know me, aside from, like, some minor interest, maybe. And there was just stuff I had to get out and stuff I had to talk about. And I'm finally starting to feel like I can proceed from here and just talk about other things other than me. Although, of course, I'm going to keep talking about me because I like doing that. At least I'm honest about it, right? Like, the whole reason I want to do YouTube is for attention. What else do you want me to say? Again, at least I'm honest about it. But, you know, I've never done it for 90 days. I've never done it for this long. And so it's like, okay, even though I am in a spot where I'm kind of like questioning the point and self-doubt is nagging at me, I did it. I did it for 90 days. And it's a new record. And again, quarter of the way through the year. Because there's still, I say 52 videos, but like the art journey videos that I did for 2 weeks, what was it, like 10? It was like 11 videos total for that. And I did that all in like 2 weeks. Probably hurt my place in the algorithm, not gonna lie, especially after the Age of Scorpius video was successful beyond my wildest dreams, and I did not capitalize on that. Like, I don't know how I would have capitalized on it, but whatever. I'm still figuring this YouTube thing out. But like I said, in the past, I would do it for like a few weeks, and then I would get frustrated and I would feel like I was wasting my time, and so I'd stop. But here I am. I've done it for 3 months. We're more than halfway through the 4th month at this point. We're like 3/4 through the 4th month, and I'm still doing it. And I'm still here. And even though things are difficult right now, I am doing my best to stay positive, and I'm doing my best to believe and to work on things getting better. Like, I had a point the other day where I started to ask, when do things get better? When does my life actually get better? And I'm like, okay, it's already better than it was. And I have to keep reminding myself of that, especially when, like I said, doubt creeps in. Because it's like, yes, things are better, still not good enough, if that makes sense. For me, like, baseline good enough is gonna be when I can consistently pay my bills without worrying if I'm going to be able to do that, while still being able to save for stuff like that. And getting that computer, like I said. That's where I am right now, and just figuring things out. And so thank you to everyone who has watched this channel and has supported my videos so far, and who, especially to new subscribers who are giving the channel a chance. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should say, but not that I can think about. Like, there's other stuff going on, but I don't necessarily feel like I need to talk about it in a video. What will next week's video be? Not sure yet. Last weekend, to celebrate finishing, I actually took myself to Barnes & Noble, which for me, who doesn't have a car and has to go into the next town over, that was actually kind of a big deal, especially considering I'm still overcoming how sheltered my upbringing was and how restrictive. So yeah, I took myself to Barnes & Noble. I got all dolled up. I had a lot of fun, and it was great. And I wanted to, like, get video of that and do a little vlog, but I realized pretty quickly I didn't have the ability to do that. I didn't really want to record myself, and I didn't want to, like, be, like, setting my phone up on shelves to, like, get shots. I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna work. Not able to do that, unfortunately. That is where I am right now. That's what's going on, and I don't think I have anything else to say, so I guess I will wrap it up here, and I will see you next week, I hope, for a new video. So until next time, stay safe, take care, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye!